Welcome to the Frustrated by Your Marketing podcast, brought to you by Skyline Studio. I'm your host, Jim D'Amico.
And I'm your co-host, Madison McQuistion.
Our podcast will bring you the latest in marketing news and strategies for internal marketing teams, marketing specialists, and business owners.
So if you are frustrated by your marketing, then this is the podcast for you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Frustrated by Your Marketing podcast. We are calling this episode The Junk Drawer. It's a bunch of little marketing stories and tidbits that we've gathered up that don't really have a place in a full episode, and we thought it would be fun to put them all together and sort of talk marketing in general with some of these anecdotes and stories and things we've seen around. Why the junk drawer? As we're growing this podcast, one of our most loyal fans is my brother Mike, and a little known fact about him: back in the days of initial computing, online computing, he had what was called the bulletin board. Before there was Google and the internet the way we know it now, bulletin boards is how people sort of interacted with each other, and it was really cool in our town. And everybody would log into our home computer, and we were sharing games, and that was probably the bulk of it. But there was chat board in there and things like that. So this was right around when AOL was getting on the scene, and I guess for a while my brother was the internet in Cromwell, Connecticut, which was kind of cool. And so this is paying a little tribute to that. I don't know if this will be the official title for SEO purposes, but that's what we're calling it.
I like it. I think it's totally fitting.
Okay, great. So this is what we found in the junk drawer, in the marketing junk drawer. So we've got some little things here that we want to talk about, and the first one I want to talk about is a miss that I had back in our couple episodes ago. We talked about reviews, and Madison said it'd be really cool, or it'd be really scary if we could all rate each other. And you were talking about Airbnb.
Yeah, it's kind of like Airbnb. Yep.
Right. And so where I went with that was saying that you can do that through Uber and obviously on Airbnb. And I had completely forgotten about a great sci-fi kind of episode of a TV show called Black Mirror that was on Netflix a few years ago. And the name of the episode was called Nosedive. And it literally is like the horror that you had in an episode. So there's this girl, and she's like really, really buttoned up, and she does everything for everybody. And the reason is because when you're interacting with people, you literally have a rating thing on your phone where you're rating people that you see on the street. So if you and I were talking right now, I could like knock your stars down or knock them up depending on what I thought about you. And in this episode, like everything goes wrong for
Maybe
her.
It's a good thing we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
I feel like people would be way more self-conscious than we already are. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's literally like as bad as it could get. If you could take reviews to like the worst case scenario, that's what this is. So if you are interested in watching it's kind of like a Twilight Zone type of show, like modern.
I've been meaning to watch that, and I still have not watched it yet. So maybe since you said it, you're like probably the 30th person that's told me to watch it. So I should probably watch that. So why? And every episode is different cast, just like this Twilight Zone. But yeah, watch the episode Nosedive. It's like the horrors of reviews, if it was taken to the absolute extreme. So definitely worth a watch. Nice. Yeah. So mine is Highland Brewing, is a brewery that's near us in Asheville. And we have around 30 breweries. And so, they're all very competitive with one another because there are so many in kind of a small area. And I guess Asheville is kind of bigger, but for the amount of breweries, it's pretty competitive. And so they did a really fun marketing video that is for their Wishing Star Cold IPA. And the video is super fun because it's almost like the beer is a meteor or a shooting star. I'm not really sure which one. I want to say more of probably like a meteor, but it's funny because, it's going across the sky and there's people looking up at it as it's like coming down, and they're not sure what it is until it actually crashes into the ground. And so it's super fun to kind of see that video because it definitely made me excited to go back to Highland, which we are going this weekend now because of this video that's come out. So you can tell it's a really good kind of marketing tactic because it's kind of different than any other videos they've done. And I'm sure it's gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, so you shared it with me earlier. I think it's great. So it's probably a star so the name of the beer is Wishing Star.
Yeah.
So it's probably a shooting star, I'm going to guess. And it was cool. It was kind of felt like an old 80s movie vibe to me. And it was definitely, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen their other stuff, so I don't know if it's different, but it seemed different than other stuff.
It's different than other marketing things that they've done. So
yeah, and I thought it was very, very, very well produced. Like it was definitely, that took some time. And then it'll show you like, part of what, in your prediction, in the prediction episode, it was like to get gritty and do the unfiltered, but sometimes the opposite, or oftentimes the opposite doesn't work or works as well. So going all in on production and I don't know if that was stock footage that they got in there as well, but like that didn't take 5 minutes to put together. That was a more high end thing. I don't know if they were planning to put that on TV as well. But that hopefully they'll get more mileage out of it because it's it's a pretty good production value.
Yeah, I definitely think they probably will because their last couple of seasonal ones that they've done have all been berry related. So like the 6-pack I bought here this last weekend was like a berry full is what it was called. And it's super cool because the beer cans have like tons of little blueberries on them. So they're really fun about their marketing, which is why I think I like it because they're super creative and it catches your attention for sure compared to all the other breweries around here. But Asheville is also a very artsy place, so it fits.
Yeah, and breweries and microbrews and IPAs are they have fun. Like it's a fun industry. So I think you should have fun even if your industry is not fun. But that's already built into it. Where maybe not all of the ones and maybe not the ones around you, but in general they'll have more fun with the logos and more fun with the naming and more fun with the packaging and things like that. I think it's kind of built into that industry, which is great. And so this commercial goes beyond that, or this video goes beyond that. Not just, it's not just a fun name because Wishing Star Cold IPA is, it's kind of a quirky name, but
it is. I was kind of surprised when I looked at the name. I was like, oh, that's an interesting one compared to some of the others.
Yeah, but so it brings it to the next level, which is great. So kudos to them. I think it's great. Okay, so I'm about to go off on a little tirade on my next one. So in our first episode, I said something that was not the most eloquent, but I still stand behind, which is everything is marketing except the things that are not, which really either is a yogiism or doesn't make much sense, but it's true. And maybe I should just change it to everything is marketing. And so this goes under that umbrella that everything is marketing, and even the stuff you might not think about. And I'm going to talk about this in relation to the medical field, and in particular your front desk staff or your support staff, because you'd think the medical field, like, what's their marketing? Well, it's getting good ratings on health grades. It's having a great website. It's having more and more. It's having a good social media presence, and it's your waiting room and things like that. Like that's your marketing. But that front desk staff is, I would say, more important than all of those things combined, because that's your
agreed. Yes,
that's the person you're going to interact with when you're stressed out about money, when you're stressed out about time, when you're sick, when your kid's sick, and I would say overall as an industry, they are failing at this. So I have an example of somebody who recently failed me, and then someone who less recently went so above and beyond that we rave about them constantly. So I'll start with the positive, and then I'll do the negative after. So the positive is Sky and I had trouble having kids, and we went to an IVF doctor, Dr. Levi, who we love, and we will go out of our way to tell anybody and everybody about him. And a lot of that has to do with him. He's a great guy, and has to do with the success he built our family, and that type of thing too. So I mean, he is a big part of our story. But we know other people, in sort of talking to friends, and Sky's made some connections just sort of in general because of having gone through this, where they've had the success, and the doctor may be nice, but the rest of the experience isn't so great, and they're not taking every opportunity to talk about the person. So then why is it? And I think a lot of it has to do with their support staff. We were on a first name basis with every single person at the front desk. And in particular, and you wouldn't think that this would be part of their marketing, but their billing coordinator or their finance person was someone we were really close to. Her name was Anne. She was amazing. She's retired now. And, IVF's very expensive. And it's it's a stressful time. Anything in health is stressful, but this is about as stressful as it can get. And Anne helped us. We were not, always financially able to do cycles and process through the thing, but she was always there to help us. And in particular, there's this one story where she went so above and beyond that she made us into not just, loving the practice or fans of the practice or whatever you want to call it, but like literally like we're evangelists for this practice. We go out of our way to tell everybody. And so I can't remember the specifics of what she was doing, but there was some promo or coupon or special or some gimmick to do with health insurance that we had to go to the very specific pharmacy to get some medication that was expensive, because they're all expensive. And they called and they talked to Sky and they got her on the phone. They said, well, your aunt called and it's all set. And so I said, no, that's not my aunt. That's just Anne. It's like, are you sure? It's like, because she was talking like your family. And it, so she told her, and it says, well, she went to bat for you guys. So, you're very lucky. And that was literally how much that they would do for us, that they would, it almost seems like we were family. That was it. So if you look at this from a marketing perspective, this, finance person who is often in a back room, you never see them, you don't know their name. They call you only when your bill's due. Took the initiative to go to bat for us enough to get us whatever this discount was, enough so that the person at the pharmacy thought that we were related to them, which is amazing. So this is, that's
super cool.
The pinnacle. I don't know if you're going to find too many at that level, but there's plenty of ways you can do this without people thinking you're family. So that's the best case scenario. And again, Sky mentors women going through IVF, and a lot of the conversations are, maybe you should switch to Dr. Levi, because we trust him, we love him. He happens to be one of the best in the country, but I think a lot of it is like, it's such a stressful time. And if every person is on board, like every person is on board to help you through it, that's your marketing, right? That's it. It's not a flyer or a brochure. That's part of it, but it's the part that matters. It's the part that makes you a fan. And it's kind of a weird thing to say you're a fan of a doctor, but we're a fan of Dr. Levi and we'll be forever. So kudos to them. And if you're listening and you have any front desk support, do something like Anne, like be like that, be like Anne, because she was amazing. So, okay. So now,
actually, just staff in general, because you don't realize how important your staff is for your marketing. Cause either, if people go up to the front desk and they like the person, they'll want to keep coming back. Whereas if they have really bad first impression, chances are they won't come back. And so keeping people coming around is having a really good staff and support system there that will help you continue to grow your business.
Yeah. And it's, again, health is stressful. We recently switched pediatricians. I'm not going to get into that story, but the same thing. Like if you're calling and your kid is sick, or you're calling and you're sick, you want, I know that they can't see you in 5 minutes, but you want help. Like you're in their hands, and it can't be a script or, what's your birth date. They have to ask that, but some niceties and that feeling of we're going to help you, say that first. Okay, we'll help you. Don't worry. Can you give me your birthday? Like just that 5 seconds is enough to make you feel like that person, that team is there for me. And people forget that. And I don't know why, but that's a big part of marketing. It's obviously customer relations, customer support, whatever you want to call it. But I put that under the marketing umbrella, and I think it's super important. Okay.
Yeah, which leads us into my next one. So for someone my age, I don't shop very often. I don't really like it, but I have found this one store that I keep going back to, and it's because they have a absolutely great staff. And I've been to multiple locations. I went to one in Charleston, found that there's one in Asheville, which has not been great for me because I like to spend money there, but it's called Altered State, and they've become more popular. I want to say in the past couple of years, there's more locations popping up, but their staff is so attentive, and they're also super nice. So when you walk in, they ask you if you need a dressing room. They ask you like what you're looking for, which for some people that can get kind of annoying. There are people that want to go in and shop and just not talk to the people that are there. But they kind of, want you to, and good marketing, because when you start collecting items in your hand, they look at what your what you want for clothing, and they keep an eye on what you're shopping for. So then if you do get a dressing room, they end up picking things that they think you will like, and they stick it in the dressing room with you. So then you have a more of an idea of like, okay, maybe I'll try this on, and you do, and you really like it, and then you end up buying it, which didn't happen to me yesterday. I ended up going yesterday, which is why I put this on the list. But I did it the time before that. I bought a couple of things that I probably didn't need, but they were like, oh, you should try this on. I'm like, okay. And they're just super nice and super kind. And so, you like supporting businesses that are, really great about that, even if they are like big chains like this one is.
Yeah. And thinking what a customer wants or needs or might like, that's a service. I mean, yes, the reason they were trained to do that is because their sales are going to go up and their commission is going to go up. But that's okay, because if you find something you like better than what you picked out on your own, maybe it's hard to judge for yourself. Why not? That's okay. And again, if you don't, if they're pushy to the point where they don't allow you to sort of opt out, then that's not good. But, my mother-in-law, she would get calls from White House Black Market was her store of choice. And, the sales associates knew her, and they would say like, hey, the new line's coming in next week. You want to schedule a time to come in? We've got some great stuff for you, and we'll set it out.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you, and I got, she was a good customer. She was a great shopper. And so, it can be, but thinking ahead, thinking what could I do to make this customer's life easier or their shopping experience easier? And then potentially, obviously, the what's in it for you is you get a better fan, more spending. You're not forcing them. You're not charging them for that time. You're helping them along the way. That's great. I mean, that's marketing at its best. That's amazing.
And right now they're only doing like women's clothing. I think they do some baby clothing as well, but they'll like stick a pair of shoes in there that looks like your size. Cause a lot of times they're like, okay, you might really like this outfit. But it might look better with these shoes. Or if you don't like an outfit, try it with these shoes, and then maybe you'll like the outfit better. Cause if you like walk into a store with sneakers and you're wanting to try on something nice, the shoes aren't gonna
right.
What you're trying on.
I don't know about that, but that makes sense.
It's super smart. Yeah.
I'm always wearing the shoes that I'd be wearing, but I get how that could matter. Like if you're buying something for going out and you're wearing sneakers, like that might not work.
Especially for women, we're a little bit pickier
and again, that's thinking.
What is your next one?
That's thinking, what the person would want. No. So my next one is, okay, so those are the positives. So here, I'm going to do one more front desk stat. So here's the negative front desk story. So I'm an evangelist for Dr. Levi. I am also, maybe less so now, an evangelist for my dentist. I've been with my dentist for almost 30 years. I got them in my freshman year of college, so it's like 28 years now. I've been with the same hygienist for the entire time, and who's Sylvia. She's amazing. And so we both, so I was in college. She was probably right out of college. We sort of, we see each other a few times a year. We both had all of our kids. We talk about family. I've gotten to know them very well. I love the two dentists that are there as well. The rest of my family goes, and they're amazing. But also, I'll say that they're now 45 minutes away from me. So I literally will drive 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back to go to the dentist during the work week, which I did a couple weeks ago. And my day's a mess, but I do it because, and the rest of my family all goes to the dentist in town, which is 5 minutes away. So that's how much of an evangelist I am. So I was there the last time, and I'm ready to make, and so I go to the dentist 3 times a year instead of twice, because if you own your own company, dental insurance is really expensive. So instead of getting dental insurance, we just go more often, so we don't need dental work, which is thus far, knock on wood, worked for us.
Yeah.
So I go to check out. Everything's going great. And I say, we're ready to make my appointment. And instead of in 4 months, it's going to be in 6 months. And I said, how come? So I, at this point, I'm wondering, no, I'm actually only 4. No, we can't. There's nothing available, literally nothing available for me.
Wow.
And, okay, I'm a little, upset or annoyed. Not really, but it was more the attitude of the person. It's kind of the attitude of the person when you go on a Friday night and they say, do you have a reservation? And they're like happy that you don't have a reservation. It's almost like you're not in the cool group or something. I'm not sure, but it always seems like the hostess is like upset about that. Or not upset about it, that they're like happy that they get to turn you away. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But she was just a little smug about it or something. And what a failed opportunity. So I left there I'm on a wait list now. And for the first time in a long time, I'm thinking like, maybe I should switch to my local dentist. Opportunities there are, we'll put you on the wait list. Don't worry, we'll definitely get you in. That wasn't said. And I'm sure that I will get in, but like just saying that would have been enough. Like you sort of calm me down, or put me at ease. Or, you know what? Sorry about this time. Let's schedule you for a year now. That way it doesn't happen again. Let's just pre-schedule you because it's really hard after COVID. Things are, that's another opportunity to
definitely
to make it better for me. But none of those were made. It was just, put me on my way. And I'm sort of putting them on, on a test now. So if I don't hear back, I think I might switch to my local. I want to see, do they care about me? I care about them so much that I'm willing to travel way out of my way for them. And I was
going to say, especially if you've been there so many times, like you said, you've been going for years.
Right, 28 years. So you do the math.
Yeah,
it's probably
that's
when you add in
a long time for one place.
Yeah, a few cavities. It's probably 100 visits, approximately. Right. So that's a long, relationship. I am like one of their most loyal customers. I think they're great enough to go out of my way for them, and I felt unheard. So this is the flip side of being great. Is that if you aren't good, you can lose even your evangelists, your best customers. And I would say, and I had this idea sort of thinking about this episode, because I really hate that attitude on the hostess when you don't have a reservation and I'm going to actually recommend this to our restaurant clients, is they're always asking like, how can we get more people on Mondays and Tuesdays? And I feel like what a great opportunity to turn a negative situation into a positive. And so when the hostess is saying, I'm sorry, we're all booked, Fridays are crazy, instead of like, do you have a reservation, and like kicking you out the door, say, I'm really sorry. I wish we could, you know how things are on Fridays. Here's a coupon for Monday and Tuesday. Come back and see us. Now all of a sudden you leave and you're like, hey, maybe I will come back on Monday or Tuesday, instead of sort of
definitely
that negative. So flip the script. Don't always, teach your people during busy times, how to handle it. Teach your people to be kind. Teach your people to ask questions. Teach your people to just say, how's it going? Or I'm sorry, that sucks. Or, you know what? We're going to be dead in an hour because, the way since COVID, restaurants, like they're dead by like 9:30 now. So if you're there at 8:30, we're going to be dead in an hour. Do you want to go to the bar? There's a spot over there. I see that there's 2 chairs there. Go sit over there, have a couple of drinks. At night we're really fast, because once the kitchen dies down, you'll probably be out of here around the same time, and you get a couple of extra drinks in. Like, just talk to people. So, it drives me crazy that they don't take that opportunity, and they make you not want to go back to that restaurant, or you not want to go back to your favorite dentist by that person who really has nothing to do with your experience. Like, they're not cooking your food, they're not cleaning your teeth. They're not serving you any of those things, but that last experience, that last impression, or that first impression, is so important. It's such a big part of marketing, and people forget about it all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy how, even if you've been, going somewhere for so long, that one experience can, put a bitter taste in your mouth. But
yeah, you want to feel heard and you want to feel appreciated, and I didn't this time, which is sad. So
yeah, that's so sad. All right, my next one is Monster Energy drink, which is hilarious because I don't actually drink many energy drinks. I was an athlete, and I was always told, those are terrible for you. And so even still now, I haven't had them. But we went to Supercross. So you might like this then. We went to Supercross in Nashville. It was the first time it was there. So for people who don't know what Supercross is, it's a FIM World Championship for dirt biking.
Okay.
So it's a really cool race. They did it in the Titan Stadium for NFL, which was, NFL. I don't actually watch that. I don't know why that sounded weird in my mind. So it was in that stadium, which was super cool. I had never been before. I've never even really been on a dirt bike, but our friends are super into it. So they invited us, and it was such a cool experience because Monster Energy is like the main promoter of dirt biking, and I guess for a lot of other extreme sports too. And so their thing was, if you bring a Monster Energy drink, whether you drank it or not, just bring like the can or bring it full, bring it to Supercross, and you get free admission into like their FanFest, which is where they're working on all the dirt bikes that are racing.
Nice.
And so there's like some big name people there and big name companies like Twisted Tea, Honda, a bunch of other different ones. But it's a cool marketing tactic because I didn't know this, but the main reason they do it is because they want to get people to recycle. But then also there are thousands and thousands of people going to gas stations around this area just to buy a Monster Energy drink to be able to get into FanFest. So it's just like super cool marketing, I think, because not only are, tons of people buying the product that day, but also they're trying to get people to recycle, which is super cool.
Yeah, I think that hopefully they turn you away if you hadn't drink it. They should force you to drink it.
I actually didn't drink mine. So when we went, my friend was like, okay, we're all going to the gas station and you guys need to buy like Monster Energy drinks. And I'm like, oh, that's weird, but I don't drink them. And she's like, no, you have to buy one. And I was like, why? And she said she wasn't going to tell me why. I was like, okay. So I bought one.
So you handed a full Monster Energy drink to the person and to get in.
Yeah. Yep. So they have a booth there and you get a stamp. So if you go up, you can either give them a full one, which they just keep them right there. I'm not sure what they do with the full ones.
They drink them.
Probably. I would say they probably give them to the racers is my guess.
Yeah.
But then they also have a huge bin for recycling also. So I didn't end up drinking mine. Everyone else did. I already had enough caffeine that day since I'm a coffee drinker. So
okay.
I didn't need more. I'm wired all the time anyways.
Yeah, I always switch to soda during the day and energy drinks when I really need it. But yeah, I think that's great. And so you've got dual purpose promotion, right? They're promoting something for the environment. They're promoting obviously the brand. It's a really good, you won't forget that connection. So if it was just
definitely
sponsored by Monster Energy as you walked in the door, and if there was a different way to get in, you might have forgotten that it was called the Monster Energy VIP. But the fact that they forced you to buy something that is inexpensive, and Monster Energy is one of the more expensive, a drink is inexpensive, even if it's one of the more expensive ones like Red Bull, which is fortune for the big one, like $9 or something. I'll buy Monster when I can't afford the Red Bull because sometimes you just don't want it. Really expensive. But anyways, it's pretty cheap. It gets you in the door, and you'll make that connection. That's a really strong way. It's a physical thing that you help, which is great. I think that's
and that's the other thing too, is you can pay to get into FanFest. So I think my friend said it was $15 if you didn't bring a Monster Energy drink. So you could either pay more to get into FanFest, or you could pay for a Rockstar before and get in cheaper. So awesome. I think it's a super cool marketing tactic. It was very interesting to me because I've never really had a personal connection with Monster Energy drink before, and that event was so cool. I will definitely be going to another one. So
that's great. I love it. Okay, so I've got two other, one quick one, and then we'll finish with the Dove one together. So I had the opportunity to do a bar mitzvah photo shoot with my brother this weekend, and I've had a couple of photo shoots over the last couple weeks. I also shot some photos and videos at an elementary school for a website that we're about to do. I did some video work at a local theater in a local senior community, Nelson Hall, and some food photos as well. And so what I'll say is that what was really great in particular about the shot with the photo shoot with my brother for the bar mitzvah is that it's so intense, and not all of it, but most of it, where time is of the essence. Things happen and you got to capture them when they go. It's this is sort of like a wedding. I would say weddings are even better at this, but if you're looking to grow, especially in photography, but anything else, put yourself in a position where you force yourself to think in the moment. And even better if you've got someone like my brother around who is an expert that can kind of talk you through stuff. So I love those moments where I've got a question, something's not working, we can think about it on the fly and then kind of do it. And it builds that muscle memory. You'll get better at stuff. In web design, when Madison and I are launching a website, we'll sort of at the last moment, we'll jump on and we'll do a Zoom or Google Meet together and work real quick in like a 2 or 3 hour period as well. And so I would say if you've got the opportunity to really work deeply and with a time constraint, not always, that's, a good way to make mistakes too. But when there are time crunches and when there's time available to push yourself, you'll get better. Like it'll make you a stronger photographer, a stronger web developer. If you can do it with someone who knows what they're doing as well, and you can kind of talk through stuff together, it's just a really great way. And so in marketing, I could see this applying to social media. Put yourself on a deadline. I'm going to do 20 social posts today, and you'll get more creative if you've got that time constraint. If you can do it in a pair and you can kind of talk through stuff together, it's a really great way to improve. I love when I do these photo shoots with Mike because I every time I remember things that I knew that I had forgotten. I learn new things, and then I can apply it to the food photos. When I do those, like I've got time. Like it's sitting on the table, it's not moving. I can experiment. But when the person's walking around, you've got to think. There was different lighting. It was inside. It was outside. It was during a ceremony. There was a little bit of dancing. There were some kids playing on the field, and all of those things required me to do something different. And that's good. It pushes you. You get that muscle memory and you get better at it. And then when you have more time, you'll be better as well. So that was a really fun thing to do. And again, if you can put yourself in a position where you can do that kind of stuff, if you're a photographer, you don't have to be the second shooter, be the third shooter, just go along and push yourself, because the few that I've done with my brother, I've gotten better every time. I think they're great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And again, when we do those sort of like web pushes at the end, I think, I'm learning things. I hope you're learning things too, like just to kind of like rush a little bit and have to think and have to really dig deep. It's just a really good way to learn. So.
Yeah, you've had a lot of photo shoots recently. You had one today too, didn't you?
Yeah, today was food, which is again easier, but I'm pulling from all those other places. So we have one more thing that I want to talk about, which is a commercial that Dove put out. So I feel like I had seen this before Kenya shared it, but Kenya shared it. Our marketing manager shared it to our local water cooler chat. And it's a touching, pretty sad take on social media and how it affects kids. I mean, it's not unique. I mean, I've seen things like this before, but this one was in particular a little emotional. And it
was definitely hard to watch, for sure. I mean, I'm so glad I watched it, just because it's very emotional and touching and people need to see it. So
yeah, and so it's I believe it's called The Cost of Beauty. That's sort of the title of it. And it follows Mary from when she was, I'm going to guess, around 7 or 8 into her teen years. Looks like the same girl. So I'm thinking these are home movies, and you can see her being really, carefree and light. And, obviously they cherry picked what they were going to do here. I'm sure that there were moments when she was 7 and 8 where she was moody too, but she's carefree and light. And then they show her get a phone for a birthday or Christmas. I don't remember. And then you see her sort of devolve into this sadder teen. And they're showing influencers talking about beauty, and they talk about toxic beauty content, and how it really affects, in this case, young women.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see this affecting young boys too, for sure. And it's scary because every kid wants a phone. My kids included, and they're 8 and 3.5, and they're phones when they're out, they want them. They're obsessed for different reasons, but it's a scary thing. And I don't feel bad about what we do, but we're in a way part of the problem, right? So the marketing world is a big part of where this is coming. So this toxic beauty conversation is often trying to sell something, and so it's out there, and it's scary, and we should probably just think about how we talk about it, because and in a way, I'm not a huge fan of government intervention, but I think that's probably coming in a way, because kids are getting messed up because of this, and it's sad.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a personal connection to that video because I felt like I kind of went down that rabbit hole too when I was a teenager. I mean, when I was a teenager, Instagram was the main thing. So TikTok obviously wasn't out yet. But once Instagram came around, I was probably like, do you even know when Instagram came out?
I believe it was sold, I think, in 2012. So let's say
so I was like a freshman. That's when
maybe?
I got my first phone. So
okay.
I got my first phone when I was a freshman. And I definitely went down the rabbit hole of, seeing all these influencers on Instagram posting pictures of like how skinny they are and different things like that, and pretty much like changing their bodies. And, as a teenager, you're like, oh, that's the thing to do right now. And it makes you really self-conscious. And so even though my experience was not to the extent of Mary's in the Dove video, I mean, I still had a personal connection to it because it made me think. I was like, wow, I was that person too. Like, I went through that. I can't even imagine what girls are going through, like young girls are going through now with TikTok being around. So
yeah, it's scary. And so that's the other part. I don't know if I mentioned this. So it's about eating disorders is the charity that they're, or the mission that's behind the video. And Barry went through one. And sounds like, it seems like based on the end of the video came out of it, in a positive light on the end, which is great. I will say, it is interesting that Dove chose a very beautiful person for this, which
they did. Yes,
is essentially part of the problem. I'm not saying that you should choose someone who's unattractive, but they did choose someone who is, again, beautiful. And so, it's literally the type of person that would have caused this problem. Like if she was posting, it would cause people to think. So, it's hard because, beauty sells. I get it. But we should be careful with it and certainly not do things that we know are aggressively hurting kids, because you shouldn't be doing things that hurt adults either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just good to think about. I mean, I don't think I'm ready. I've heard that there are some marketing firms out there that won't touch social media because of it. I'm not that type of a person. I think that everything has its place, and you can use a tool well and you can use it poorly. And so, we should continue to strive to use it well. We're trying to sell things. That's what marketing is about, but we shouldn't be trying to hurt people. And so, because you can manipulate people like crazy with social media, and I think that that's a little too far.
I think we only have one beauty client out of all of the clients we have. So, I mean,
right.
We have so many different industries that we work for. So.
Yeah, and I'm an equal opportunity marketer. I think that you should market, we market some things that I don't consume or particularly like. But that's okay. I like the people that run the businesses, and we're helping them grow, and that's what it's all about. But I wouldn't be okay with doing it in a manipulative way, and I think that's the difference. So if we were going out of our way to take a person and use fear tactics or that type of manipulation to get them to buy something, that would be like sort of beyond my threshold.
Definitely.
But if you're showing beautiful people to sell beautiful things, I'm okay with that. And I think that's okay. I think there's that subtle line of, marketing's always been a beautiful people industry. That's just sort of how it is. I mean, I know that there are people that are in front of, media campaigns that are not as beautiful, but they have different types of, inner beauty and excitement and great personalities and all of those things. But by and large, if you look at someone in a commercial, they're a beautiful person, and that's okay. But again, it's a manipulation. I think this is what Dove talks about, and how you can really mess up a person's mind, and that's just not okay.
Yeah, super true. I mean, yeah. So if you guys haven't seen that commercial, you should go watch it if you're fine with some heartfelt content.
Yeah, no, it'll make you either cry or want to.
Or really, just think about what social media is doing to our world in general. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And these all the links of what the stuff we talked about. So we'll link to the Nosedive episode from Black Mirror. We'll link to the Dove commercial. We'll link to the video from the Shooting Star beer. I think I got that wrong. And a couple others. So we'll link to all these. I'm not going to link to my dentist, but because I still do love them. But we'll link to everybody else. So.
You're just on a break with them for a little bit.
Well, I'm waiting. They're on trial. We'll see if they come back to me. And if they've got, I'm on the waiting list, and if I get my appointment, it'll be good. But I don't know what I'm going to do if I have to call and beg.
So if they're listening, get Jim off the waiting list.
Yeah, right. Because if I call, in 4 months, then it's going to be another 6 months. So I'll have to figure something out. We'll see. Awesome. So again, I don't know. So this is the Junk Drawer episode. I think it'll probably be called something like Everything is Marketing in the official title. But we'll do these from time to time. We might do Junk Drawer segments in the regular episodes too, as we have like random little things. So we talked about like 7 things here in a normal episode time, which I think is great. I don't know if any of these would have been an episode on their own, and it's just kind of cool to talk about the stuff that we're seeing that's marketing in our everyday lives. So
yeah, so if you guys haven't listened to any of the other episodes, go check them out.
Yes, check them out. Like, follow, subscribe. Everything's this is on YouTube as well. If you want to see us, and we're on all the podcasts platforms as well. And we will see you next week.
Yeah, see you guys later.